You'll see these are GCSE questions, like M4s and 5s, but they're very simple ones. So they're easy. No, but same sort of questions, and it doesn't really matter. That's the thing with maths. A lot of it looks the same, regardless of what course. Okay. Now, some of these are they're pretty basic, okay, and I'm hoping you get, but I want to get into the habit because obviously one of the gaps was when we could not use the function machine thing. Okay. So let's go through all of these as if we were not doing the function machine and therefore the inverse. Okay, so we are going to use inverse operations, okay, but we're not going to lay it out like the function. We're going to try and up it to the next level, okay? So what does this tell me? 2 times something equals 8. All right? So what I want to get back to is what we were doing initially, which was a set of balancing scales, okay, where we've got 2 y's on one side, and on the other side we've got 8. And they balance each other out because of the equal sign. Right? So 2 y's have exactly the same value as an 8. So how do we figure out what 1 y must be?
1 y since since it's like 2y, if you just divide that by 2, but divide both sides by 2,
yeah,
then you get 2.
That's what a perfect answer. Yeah, I've got to divide this 8 into 2 pieces, haven't I? So 8 divided by 2 would give me 4 and 4, yeah? And now I know that 2 y's and 2 4's give. So if I divide both sides by 2, so if I divide that by 2, I get what 1 y is. And if I divide that by 2, I know that that is 4. Okay? So I think we're pretty obvious what the answer is, but it's the method that we're now using. Yeah? So I want to get back to how did I use an inverse operation there, though? Cash?
You do 8, you could have done 8 back.
Yeah. That's what I did, wasn't it? Why is the dividing by 2 an inverse operation?
It's like 2y, it's like 2 multiplied by y.
Yeah.
So just do
Yeah. So I've got y times 2. So if I want to do the opposite, the inverse, I have to divide by 2. I'm just not writing it out. So if I was to write that out, it would be y times 2 gives me 8. So I do 8, and the inverse is divide by 2, and you get 4. Now that one, what I'm going to say for this bit of work, think it, don't write it. Okay? Not that writing it is a bad thing, by any means, but I'm trying to get us to a level where we can solve the ones where writing it like that doesn't really work. That works for the simple ones like this one. I want to get back to doing the balancing method. Okay. Yes?
do you have to show our working problems?
Yes, this is definitely, I want to see the working at every stage. Some of them it might be super quick and hardly write anything, but I would like you to try and write as much now. Okay. So just to give you another example then, if we were to do B, solving t minus 4 equals 7, okay, that would be like, if we want to do the balancing, having a t and then having negative 4, and on the other side a 7, so what do we do?
7 add 4.
Okay, so we need to get rid of this, and we do that by adding 4 to it. So I have to add 4 to the other side. So here it would be like doing t minus 4 plus 4. Do you remember this method instead? Is equal to 7 plus 4. So that would leave me with t equals 11. So you can see where I say think it, don't write it. I'm thinking t and I subtract 4, I get 7. So the inverse of subtracting 4 is adding 4. Yeah, so we're still doing that. Right, miss? Pardon? I don't think so. Not that I know. Hey? Does it sound like a test at the moment? Does it sound like a test? Hey? Test? I just said a bit more practice. If I'm doing it with you, I can't. Oh, look, you all got it all correct. Well done. Oh, you got it wrong, even though I'm not, but you're going to practice. I'm giving you a few examples. And I'm doing it because a lot of people didn't do as well as I'd hoped. And then we'll probably have to redo it. So we can do better next time. No. I'll have to change the numbers, obviously. Right, this one is, how would you say that one, Chase? So something gets divided by 4 and the answer is 3. So how do I unpick this? How do I end up with that? Yeah, right.
So if you wanted just x equals a number,
Yeah.
so first you, instead of making it divide x, you make it, divide 4, you make it times 4.
So we have to do x divided by 4, we have to times that by 4, because that leaves me with just x. But on the other side of the equals, we also need to,
Times by
yeah, and we get x therefore equals 12. And we should, we haven't done it yet, but let's just do a check. The check is substituting in. So if x equals 12, then we have 12 divided by 4 should equal 3. And that's correct. Same with the other ones. We can do a check here. If t equals 11, 11 minus 4 should equal 7. And it does. So I'm good. Up this one. If y equals 4, 2 times 4 should equal 8. And it does. I'm good. So that's my check. Quite often we can do that in our head with the simple ones, but we got the idea? Alright. So you should now be able to power through a few of them more until it starts changing a little bit. Maybe you'll be alright. Maybe you'll need to ask for some help. Yeah? Oh, there's at least 2 people who did a big sigh.
Oh no, I was wrong.
Let's go do some more answers. So just check in with how you're writing well. So this one is y divided by 3 is 6. So we are going to do times it by 3. So 3 times 3 equals 6 times 3. So the thing I've done on each side is the times by 3. That then gives me 1y is equal to 80. Okay? The next one is 7 times y, so we are going to divide by 7. So 1y, 54 divided by 7, we've got 7.71, I think. Good on our calculators. I think that was supposed to say.
That would make a lot more.
That would make it. Alright. This is where people started to Okay. Ask questions. But again, if we think about what's happening, if we think the number machines, we know it's times by 2, then subtract 5, and I get 9. So what do we have to do first, Brooklyn? So we're going to do 2t's minus 5, but we're going to add 5, equals 9 out of 5. So that would be 2t's equals. You haven't, you've been good. So if 2t's equals 14, we've now got a second step. So this one is called a two-step equation because instead of having one thing to do, we've now got a second thing to do. And we've got t equals 7. Okay. These are all pretty much repeated. So I'm going to go on to, let's just have a look at this one just to check. Well, if you were fully focused on my screen while I'm doing it, you'd have noticed. Gone as far now. Question 6. My computer. All right. What do we do? Just do it together. Done? Now let's do the subtract of 6. So the answer will therefore also be 6 less. So that means the 4m must have equaled 9. This one is going to be a decimal. The second step is to divide by 4. And we get m is going to be 2.2. Okay. So there's another example for you. I hope you've written that down. If you haven't written that down, missing an example. All right, I am wanting to go on to 2 more questions before we finish to give you examples of how to do. So the 2 that I would like to have a look at, we've got lots, you can see it's starting to get more 2-step stuff. Okay, some different 2 steps, different numbers. But then we've got 10b. Again, guys, this is another 2-step. What are the 2 things that happen? We subtract 3 and we. So remember I said think about the number machine. What gets done first to the t?
It gets times by 5.
It doesn't get times by 5 first. It's the subtract 3 first. Good, because it's in the brackets. So we don't add 3 to this one. Actually, the first thing we need to do is divide by 5 first. That's the first thing we do. Because imagine we're going back the inverse number machine. The last thing that happened was the times 5. So the first thing we have to undo is the divided by 5. And how do we do that? We divide by 5. So what's left? T minus 3 equals 5. Because 25 divided by 5 is 5. I hope you're writing these down, because all you're doing is randomly pressing numbers on your calculator. It's not going to do any good. Have you written this down? Have you? I've literally just written it and I didn't see your pencil. Number 10. What's the next step then? We just undid that. Add 3 now, isn't it? Why is it add 3? Because we've got a subtractor. So the next step is to add 3. So we've done things in the other order. Okay? So now we've got t equals 8. So there's an example of one with brackets. Any questions on that? You feel okay? Alright. I'm on slowly. Alright, the next one I wanted to look at was one like this. We've done these before. This is the one where we had bags on both sides of the scale. Simple as that. Okay. So, there's lots of things we could start with. Would anyone like to give me what their first step might be? So again, I don't necessarily want you to draw it out, but if you need to think of it this way, you've got your set of scales, alright? On one side of the scales, we've got 13 x's, x, I can't draw them quickly because the computer's going slower. You get the idea, and then a plus 1, and on this side, we've got 11 x's, but a plus 9. We could minus the 1 from both sides. Yeah, we can definitely do that. And I'm not going to say that's wrong or I wouldn't do it. I think that's a good option. So let's minus the 1 from both sides. Let's do 13x's plus 1, but we're going to minus the 1. But on the other side is 11x's plus 9, but we're going to minus the 1. What does that simplify to? Yes. Maybe that's one. Okay? What would your next step be? So imagine I've still got 13 x's on one side and I've got 11 x's on the other side. And I only want to know what 1 x is where. Well, I could try and divide by 11. I'm not going to say you can't, but I am going to tell you that's going to be horrible. The reason is, what's 13 x's divided into 11 pieces? Decimals, yeah? So we don't want to do that yet. We could have done, but I don't want to. Should we subtract 11x? Should we just lift 11 x's from both sides? Keeps it equal, doesn't it? Don't divide unless you're really dealing with just the multiplication. So we're going to subtract 11. So we'll do, oh, we want to do that. Probably not right now. Technology, eh? The wonders of it.
Right on the.
But it's not in the video. So we're going to do, you can do it anyway, can't you? 13 x's minus 11 x's to 11 x's minus 11x plus 8. That leaves me with just 8 on that side and leaves me with 2 x's on that side. Now we can divide it. The 1x is equal to. Okay. Alright. What I suggest you do now is you do another one of each of the ones we've just talked about. So I'm going to ask you to do this one. That practices the first one we just looked at with the brackets. And I'm going to ask you also to have a go at 12. And then, before we leave, I'll tell you what I want to do. And I will put it on my back, but I will talk about it. Right, just to finish this off then. Lots of people were getting there. Really good. Much better than we were in the test. Really good. Okay. So I asked you to do this one, and people were doing very well. They divided by 4 first, giving you 5y minus 2 is equal to 12. They then added 2, so 5y minus 2 add 2 is equal to 12 add 2. That's 5y equals 14. We divided by 5, and we got 1y has to equal 2.8. Okay. So lots of people had that. And we went down to this one, and again, lots of good stuff here. Whatever order you wanted to do it, but I'm going to do 5t minus 4 add 4, 3t plus 6 plus 4. That gives me 5t is equal to 3t plus 10. I'm now going to subtract the 3t's. That is equal to 2t's equals 10, which then I divide by 2, gives me 1t equals 5. Okay, any comments, questions about either of those things? No, you're all good, you agree? Okay, your homework then. Your homework is to do another 10 of these questions. Now here's the proviso. If you've already done lots of it today and you don't have 10 questions left, you have to finish the sheet. Okay? If you have more than 10 to do, then you only have to do 10. Alright? I would, however, like you to do the last one. Alright? I'll wait until everyone sits down, be quiet. I'm going to talk over people rustling papers and things like that. I'll just wait. That means we go past the end of the day. And so, okay. So, you can pick any 10, but obviously, if you pick the 10 most easiest ones just to rattle through it, then that gets noted, right? You pick some of the harder ones. I want everyone to have a go at the last one. There is one more on the page, like this one, yeah? So number 13 is a must do, right? At least one like that. Got that? I want at least one more of those. At least one. Now, you can do more of them in 10, if you like, but I need at least 10 doing. Okay? I'll put the deadline on management. Chairs go up.